Wednesday ngayon, sir. Tuesday, Wednesday. Paring Lydia. Ay, ma'am. Ikaw ba kayo? Mr. Permit. I have to cut classes.
To cut classes.
Afternoon, boss. Boss. Huwag ka mag-alala, ma'am. Kaya mo yan.
Tagal na eh.
Kamusta, boss? Longest lang, boss. Maaga.
Pwede ba muna mag-selfie?
Bawi mo na. Boss.
Ha? Laki ng mukha ko. Ang nipis naman ito.
Yung file na
From my 10 years.
pareho na lang yun. Pero, siyempre, ang sabi,
The session is now called to order. Everybody is requested to rise for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Bayang magiliw, pero sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, buyan ka ng magiging, sa manlulupi, di ka masisingil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong baghaw, may nilang ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na
standing for a minute of silent prayer. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we defer the calling of the roll. So move, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The calling of the roll is hereby deferred.
Madam Speaker, I move that we defer the approval of the journal. So move, Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The approval of the journal of the previous session is deferred.
Madam Speaker, I move that we take up reference of business and direct the Secretary General to read the titles of the bills and resolutions on first reading. So
Is
move,
it-
Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to read the reference of business.
Reference of business, bills on first reading, House Bill 4723, imposing excise tax on cosmetic products, Representatives Batucabe and Castelo.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 4724, promoting the scientific propagation, processing, utilization, and development of Philippine native animals, Representative Villafuerte.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 4725, merging the Philippine Carabao Center and the National Dairy Authority, Representative Villafuerte.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 4726, requiring the recording of the identity of all drone owners, operators, and the registration of their drones, Representative Castelo.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 4728, providing for the disposition of confiscated, seized, and or surrendered dangerous drugs, Representatives Batucabe, Garbin, and Co.
To the Committee on Dangerous Drugs.
House Bill 4729, ordaining the promotion of social enterprises to alleviate poverty, to said Tambunting.
To the Committee on Poverty Alleviation.
House Bill 4730, establishing an elderly care and nursing complex in the city of Parañaque, Representative Tambunting.
To the Committee on Population and Family Relations.
House Bill 4731, prescribing a ban on presidential appointees from seeking any elective position, Representative Tambunting.
To the Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms.
House Bill 4732, mandating the insurance of all government properties, Representative Salceda.
To the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization.
House Bill 4733, strengthening the GSIS, Representative Salceda.
To the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization.
House Bill 4734, granting additional benefits and privileges to senior citizens, Representative Zarate.
To the Committee on Population and Family Relations.
House Bill 4735, increasing penalties for employers which fail to remit SSS contributions, Representative Zarate.
To the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization.
House Bill 4736, dividing Barangay Balintawak into 3 distinct barangays, Representative Biap.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 4737, renaming the portion of Regional Road to 10, transversing the city of Manila, Representative Atienza.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 4738, providing for the security of tenure, standardized salary, and other benefits for daycare workers, Representative Rosas de Jesus, and several others.
To the Committee on Welfare of Children.
House Bill 4739, imposing climate tax, Representative Villafuerte.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 4740, providing for protection of the remittances of OFWs, Representative Gonzales Aurelio Dong.
To the Committee on Overseas Workers Affairs.
House Bill 4741, providing for the creation of Philippine Native Animal Development Center, Representative Tupas.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 4742, providing for a national policy in preventing teenage pregnancies, Representative Aragones.
To the Committee on Population and Family Relations.
House Bill 4743, prohibiting heads of departments and agencies of government from running for any elective positions, Representative Escudero.
To the Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms.
House Bill 4744, upgrading the competency of public school teachers, Representative Escudero.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 4745, providing longevity service incentive, Representative Escudero.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 4746, amending Section 7, 10, 23, 30, 31, 42, and 52 of Republic Act 8291, Representative Escudero.
To the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization.
House Bill 4747, promoting food forest gardening, Representative Lee.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 4748, granting survivorship benefits, Representative Alejano.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 4749, regulating the practice of speech language pathology, Representative Alejano.
To To the Committee on Civil Service and Professional Regulation.
House Bill 4750, regulating the registration, licensure, and practice of occupational therapy, Representative Alejano.
To the Committee on Civil Service and Professional Regulation.
House Bill 4751, providing for an increase in the salary of and additional incentives for government physicians, Representative Alejano.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
House Bill 4752 and 4753, converting to subsidy the emergency calamity loans, Representative Uy Barreta.
To the Committee on Energy.
House Bill 4754, amending Section 11, Republic Act 6770, Representative Harry Roque.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 4755, regulating the imposition of national taxes, Representative Roque Harry.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 4756, providing for National Iron Deficiency Awareness Program, Representative Harry Roque.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 4757, providing for at least 12% of annual IRAs for local health programs, Representative Harry Roque.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 4758, creating the Metropolitan Manila Government, Representative Atienza.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 4759, granting a franchise to the Volunteer Life Care Ministries, Inc., Representative Treñas.
To the Committee on Legislative Franchises.
House Bill 4760, amending Section 6B of Republic Act 1169, Representative Villalgo.
To the Committee on Games and Amusements.
House Bill 4761, authorizing the Community Environment and Natural Resources Office of the DNR to issue tree cutting permits, Representative Abueg.
To the Committee on Natural Resources.
House Bill 4762, creating a Sharia Judicial District comprising the province of Palawan and the city of Puerto Princesa, Representative Abueg.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 4763, dividing the DepEd Schools Division Office of Palawan into two separate DepEd Schools Division offices, Representative Abueg.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 4764, naming the Puerto Princesa City South Road as Governor Alfredo M. Abueg National Circumferential Road, Representative Abueg.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill numbers 4765 and 4766, establishing LTO extension offices, Representative Abueg.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 4768, integrating the medical profession of the Philippines, Representative Antonio.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 4769, establishing and institutionalizing outpatient drug rehabilitation facilities, Representative Antonio.
To the Committee on Dangerous Drugs.
House Bill 4770, converting the Bayombong Tino Cagayan Valley Road, Representative Cuaresma.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill 4771, establishing an ICT hub in every legislative district, Representative Herrera D.
To the Committee on Information and Communications Technology.
House Bill numbers 4772 and 4773, providing for the establishment of test and training centers, Representative Subiri.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 4774, amending certain sections under Republic Act 8424, Representative Goa.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 4775, granting Philippine citizenship to Reverend Father Swami Chatarajopit Balashwari, Representative Nograles.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 4776, instituting the Former Prisoners Employment Program, Representative Bunting.
To the Committee on Justice.
Committee reports, report numbers 48 to 50 on House Bill numbers 4767 and House Resolution 691 and 318.
To the Committee on Rules.
Report numbers 51 and 52 on House Bill numbers 4782 and 83.
To the Committee on Rules.
Report number 53 on House Resolution 696.
To the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, we would like to greet some guests in the gallery. In the gallery are the guests of the Honorable Jose Atienza of Buhay Party List. These are the Focolare Laico delegates: George Santa Maria, Jose Santa Maria, Jose Maria Marquez, Maria Gracia Marquez, Grace Sinisa, Teresa Bejo, Josefina Lanya, Lourdes Midel, Susan Bahao, Nilda Castro, Nenita Cortez, Glenn Palatao, Gaudensia Buyog, Maribel Yudico, Carmencita Rodriguez, Yolanda Servandil, Wilma Tugano, Rolando San Pedro, Teofila Conde, Alex Kagalingan, Helendi Sanchez, Corsino Alberto, Lawrence Alberto, Charissa May de Leon of People's Choice Movement.
May we request the guests of Representative Atienza to please rise. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, with leave of the House, I move that we hold the privilege hour. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion is approved. The Chair declares the privilege hour. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that to recognize the Honorable Eric Olivares of the 1st District of Parañaque City, who wishes to avail of the privilege are.
The Honorable Eric Olivares from Parañaque City is recognized for his privileged speech.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, this representation stands before you today, honored to talk about the story of an ordinary young boy who grew up to be one of the most important icons of our beloved country. Allow me to introduce him to you, although even one word of introduction he needs not anymore, considering how famous he already is. Still, let me walk you through his life, hoping that somehow you will pick up new amusing tidbits of information or trivia about our national hero. But more than that, hoping that upon the conclusion of my speech, we will all be reminded, re-inspired, reoriented of what he ultimately stands for as we reflect on the significance of every stage of his life, particularly his death. This young boy was popularly called by his family's friends and his playmates as Pepe. Pepe was just an ordinary Filipino lad. Growing up, Pepe was curious about the things around him. He attentively listened to the tales, stories, and information he had been told of as a child. Has always loved school. They even say that his last night in high school was sleepless, feeling that the happiest days of his life were over. Pepe's ever-growing curiosity and craving for mastery of anything that he finds interesting had borne fruits quite immediately. Signs of his brilliance came early. He learned the alphabet from his mother at the age of 3, and he could read and write at the age of 5. In fact, the well-crafted poem entitled Sa Aking Mga Kababata, which had his, for the theme, love of one's language, was greatly attributed to the merely 6-year-old Pepe. So what does Pepe's childhood tell us? It's simple. Excellence is not something that one must be born with to have. It is something parents can give their children by encouraging them to stay curious about the world, guiding them towards the right path, instilling in them the importance of education, and reminding them always that excellence can also be sustained through consistent hard work, openness to learn, and lack of arrogance. Ang kabataan ng pag-asa ng bayan. From his very own lips, Pepe believed in the great potential of the Filipino youth. Perhaps unaware that he would be the greatest role model for this aspiration, Pepe had an overwhelming passion for learning and love for knowledge. And these formidable qualities are what primarily molded him into what he soon would become. And these very qualities are what our youth nowadays need to have in order to uplift our country. All of us know what Pepe's real name is, of course. He's no less than the great Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado, who later on dropped his surname and used only the name Jose Rizal. He was born on June 19, 1861, the seventh child of Don Francisco Mercado and Doña Teodora Alonso. The bulk of Rizal's momentous life arguably began upon his stepping on the grounds of an academy and continued on until he returned to the Philippines from Europe. He first studied under Justiniano Aquino Cruz in Biñang, Laguna, before he was sent to Manila. He then took the entrance examination in Colegio San Juan de Latran, as per request of his father, but he ultimately enrolled at the Ateneo Municipal de Manila and graduated as among the top 9 students in his class. He continued his education at the said college and obtained a land surveyor and assessor's degree. He also took up a preparatory course in law, philosophy at the University of Santo Tomas. However, he later switched to medicine and specialized in ophthalmology when he learned that his mother was slowly going blind. Citing discrimination against Filipino students by the Dominican professors in medicine, Rizal left the medical program he was enrolled in by 1882. He voyaged along to Madrid, Spain in May of the same year without his parents' consent, but with the secret support of his brother. There he studied medicine at the Universidad Central de Madrid and earned a degree licentiate in medicine. He also attended medical lectures at the University of Paris and the University of Heidelberg. The then 25-year-old Rizal completed his eye specialization in 1887 at Heidelberg under the mentorship of the distinguished eye specialist, Professor Otto Becker, and he used newly invented ophthalmoscope to later operate in his own mother's eye. Rizal was skilled in both science and the arts. Documented studies show him to be a polymath with ability to master various skills and subjects and excel at anything he'd pour his mind and heart to. He was an ophthalmologist, an educator, historian, playwright, and journalist. He also had varying levels of expertise in architecture, cartography, economics, ethnology, anthropology, sociology, agriculture, dramatics, martial arts, fencing, and pistol shooting. He was a prolific painter, sketcher, sculptor, and woodcarver, crafts he had been taking interest early on and had mastered in the course of the years. He was also a renowned poet and essayist and novelist. His famous novels were, of course, Noli Me Tangere and its sequel, El Filibusterismo. Apart from this, he was also a multilingual and was known to have been able to converse in over 10 languages. The 10 years he spent on the Europe continent opened his eyes to the world, and there he saw wisdom in marrying the good values of the East and the West. He was able to hone his skills and talents in Europe, but above it all, and quite ironically speaking as well, it only strengthened his devotion to his motherland even more. Rizal was a leader of the reform movement of Filipino students in Spain. Guys under the pen name Di Masalang, he contributed his work in the form of essays, allegories, poems, editorials to the Spanish newspaper called La Solidaridad in Barcelona. His writings often alluded to liberal and progressive ideas of individual rights and freedom, particularly for the Filipino people. He shared the same sentiments with members of the movement that the Philippines is waging a battle against a double-faced Goliath, the corrupt friars and bad government. He strongly advocated that Filipinos be given representation in the Cortes, that there will be Filipino priests instead of Spanish friars in parishes and sitios in the Philippines, that we be given the freedom of speech and the freedom of assembly, and finally that there be equal rights before the law for both Filipino and Spanish plaintiffs. Jose Rizal's two most famous novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, were published in Berlin, Germany in 1887, and in Ghent, Belgium in 1891, respectively. These works of Rizal caused a stir among the Spanish colonial elite and many educated Filipinos due to their symbolism. The novels were undeniably critical of Spanish friars and the massive power of the church in the country during that time. Noli Me Tangere tells the story of a young Filipino man, Ibarra, who travels to Europe to study and returns home to witness the injustices and corruption in his native land. Rizal used elaborate characters to represent the various personas of the oppressors and the oppressed. He paid fancy attention to Filipinos who chose to forget their own nationality and instead adopted the customs of their colonizers. The Spanish friars were portrayed as lustful and greedy men, hiding in the power and sanctity of their robes. And the little members of society experienced no other life but that of poverty and cruelty from the church and the state. Noli Me Tangere brilliantly captured the state of the Philippine society during the Spanish Inquisition. What with its memorable characters and their corresponding fates, the tragic life of Maria Clara, as well as the insanity of Sisa, symbolize our beloved Philippines' transition from being a beautiful, culturally rich country to being under a state of agony and misery because of the tyranny of an outside force. Yet the piece was written in a hopeful, romantic, witty, and somehow humorous tone, signifying Rizal's own hopes and dreams for a peaceful resolution of the ongoing skirmish. El Filibusterismo, which is the sequel of Noli Me Tangere, departed from this light and humorous atmosphere of Noli. Unlike the first one, El Fili's theme was dark, serious, and staunch. In his book, the main character, Ibarra Simon, has tried to effect peaceful reforms in the country system but it turned out to be a futile endeavor considering the attitudes of Spaniards towards Filipinos. Thus, there was no choice left but to resort to solving his country issues through violent means. From the foregoing, many historians have regarded the character Ibarra Simon as patterned after the life and personal experiences of Jose Rizal himself. Both novels had an undeniable effect on Philippine society in terms of pursuing our national identity and of tackling government issues like corruption and abuse. These novels were said to have indirectly served as the inspiration to start the Philippine Revolution. Jose Rizal's advocacy for education transcends era. While he thought of education as a solution to the pitiful social situation of the Philippines in the context of Spanish colonization, it actually is a perennial solution that the Philippines can take advantage of in the present and future times, where cases of abuses, discrimination, and corruption still and might still persist, albeit in different forms and contexts. Upon his return to Manila in 1892, Jose Rizal formed a civic movement called La Liga Filipina. The League advocated social reforms through illegal means, but was disbanded by the governor at that time. He had already been declared an enemy of the state by the Spanish authorities because of the publication of this novel. Rizal's influence on the people who would later lead the revolution cannot be denied. Andres Bonifacio, one of the leaders of the revolutionary group called Katipunan, had read and got inspired by the novels of Rizal. He had used these as a basis for plotting the revolution. So influential was Rizal that even without his permission, they named him as a member of the Katipunan, and Katipuneros shouted his name as part of this battle cry. Within 3 days after founding of the La Liga Filipina, Jose Rizal has been arrested by the Spanish government for being a subversive and for his reported involvement in the rebellion. He was then exiled to the island of the Pitan in the southernmost island group of the Philippines, Mindanao. While in exile, he established a school that taught English to young boys. He worked on an agricultural project in Abaca, among others. There he met the most famous woman in his life, Josephine Bracken. With no wish to further implicated in the revolution, Rizal asked and was granted permission by then Governor General Ramon Blanco to travel to Cuba, another Spanish colony at that time, to support in the medical efforts needed to suppress an outbreak of yellow fever. On the way to Cuba, Rizal was arrested and incarcerated in Barcelona due to political maneuverings of the friars, which saw Blanco removed from the office and replaced by Camilo de la Polavieja. Rizal was brought back to the Philippines to face charges of rebellion. Due to his reported association with the revolutionary movement, the court found him guilty and sentenced him to death. Upon the breaking of dawn on December 30, 1896, Jose Rizal was about to make his final act of greatness. When guns were about to be fired at him, he rotated his body towards the firing squad and faced, literally and figuratively, his execution bravely in Bagong Bayan, now known as Luneta. On that fateful morning, a great Filipino had fallen down the ground, but came rising from this event was the collective anger of Filipinos whose hearts have been silently bleeding from the unbearable long subjugation being suffered by the country under the hands of Spain, and now has bled its final drop. Indeed, the martyr death of Jose Rizal served as a catalyst that precipitated in the breakout of the Philippine Revolution. Fast forward to present, December 30 has always been known to as Rizal's Day. We celebrate this holiday every year to commemorate the death of our national hero. By so doing, we also commemorate all the legacies he left behind, but most importantly, all the personal sacrifices that he was willing to go through out of love for our nation. But what does it really all stand for? Rizal's message for the modern-day Filipinos would have been just this simple. One, invest in education. As an educator myself, and I've been teaching for more than 2 decades of my life at De La Salle University, Manila, I share Jose Rizal's belief that education is the most powerful weapon against oppression. It liberates the mind from its shackles and encourages it to challenge societal norms when these norms promoting nothing but inequality and indignification. Education allows people to effectively communicate with others, and through the exchange of ideas coming from different points of view, people grow. However, the power of education rests not on just knowing so much, but in being able to make use of the things we know for the greater good. As one Herbert Spencer said, the great aim of education is not knowledge but action. Jose Rizal impels the future generation to be vigilant in guarding our identity as a country and in defending the rights, not just for our individual selves, but of the collective Filipinos. This means that we must strive to educate our children of the truth of what is right, of what is good, not only in schools, but in all other institutions that contribute to their foundation, such as the home, the church, the media, among others. Further, once equipped with information, we must use this to defend our freedom and independence from all kinds of oppressors, whether foreign or domestic, that are present or might emerge in the uncertain future that beholds. Perhaps Jose Rizal's hope for the future of his beloved motherland is to have citizens that will not allow the return of its darkest years without giving it a good fight. A fight that is not necessarily of violent nature, a fight that is ideally peaceful and born out of wisdom, but a fight nonetheless. Education puts an end to slavery. And from Jose Rizal himself, there can be no tyrants where there are no slaves. Indeed, education empowers us to resist our oppressors. But we must not forget that it also ought to remind us not to become oppressors ourselves, too. Always opt for the peaceful kind of revolution and use arms only as a last resort. And finally, Filipinos to be called heroes need not die the way Jose Rizal did. A hero is basically defined as a person noted for courageous acts or nobility of character. While Jose Rizal undeniably possessed both qualities, come to think of it, each of us definitely has a potential to be one too. Heroism does not need to be grand. We do not need to fight a war or face execution in order for us to be heroic. Heroism can be found in the simplest of intentions and actions. We only need to love and serve our country and everything that represents it, the people, the territory, and the government. But if we ever ought to follow the same fate as that of Jose Rizal, it is part of us that puts selfish interests ahead of the country's interests that must die. It is the part of us that exhibits apathy of what's happening around us that we must banish. And it is the part of us that doesn't see the value in the combined forces of education and action that we must change. And if we decide to put to rest the version of ourselves that think rather than individualistically, perhaps the patriotism that has been lying dormant within us will stop burning bright again, and we can all work together towards making the Philippines free, independent, and great in the purest, truest sense of the word. We must always remember that oppressors do not only take the shape of foreign colonizers. It is in the form of any government officers that steals. It is in the form of undisciplined citizens who are not even able to abide simple traffic rules. It is in the form of naysayers and bashers who only criticize but who are not willing to be part of the solution, among many others. Thus, our constant vigilance is needed to ensure that our fellow Filipino citizens are spared from oppression and does not have to suffer its ill effects once more. Every December 30 of the year, we are being reminded of the true essence and relevance of Jose Rizal. Who he was, what he did, what he left behind upon his death. This day serves as our reminder that our love for the country must never turn passé, and our loyalty to the three stars in the sun must remain constant amidst the ever-changing, ever-evolving times. It also reminds us that the best weapon we can have against the forces that halt the development of our country, and is always will be, is education. John Adams once said, "Our obligations to our country never cease, but with our lives. For as long as we live, every Filipino must uphold these obligations. But for us to be able to do this properly, we must be proactively seek right information, right knowledge, and right lessons." 120 years after his martyrdom, Jose Rizal's works, writings, and advocacy are still very much relevant, and his legacy still lives in every generation. Jose Rizal's death has sparked a collective sense of burning passion, courage, and patriotism among our Katipuneros back in the day. Now may his death continue to inspire more than Filipinos to feel the same and to take action in order to help address the new and emerging social issues that we currently face as a nation. As a parting shot, allow me to quote our national hero for the last time. "One only dies once. And if one does not die well, a good opportunity is lost and will not present itself again. To the modern Filipinos, especially the youth, make your lives count. Dedicate them in the service of God and of our beloved motherland. Exercise simple acts of heroism each day. This is what Rizal would have meant of a well-lived life. And if we do so, we are sure to never wish for another life, because we have already seized the opportunity to love our country while we still have the time." Thank you, Madam Speaker, and to my fellow colleagues. A pleasant afternoon to all.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we refer the privileged speech of the Honorable Olivares to the Committee on Rules. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion to refer the speech of the Honorable Olivares to the appropriate committee is hereby approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we terminate the privilege hour.
There is a motion to terminate the privileged hour. Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion is hereby approved.
Madam Speaker, I move for the change of referral of the following measure: House Bill number 4389 from the Committee on Civil Service and Professional Regulation to the Committee on Economic Affairs. I so move, Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move to suspend session.
Session is suspended. Session is resumed.
Madam Speaker, I move that I reconsider my motion to terminate the privilege hour and to refer the privilege speech of the Honorable Olivares to the Committee on Rules.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize again the Honorable Eric Olivares of the 1st District of Parañaque City. So move, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Olivares is hereby recognized.
Madam Speaker, I'm willing to entertain questions coming from my fellow colleagues.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Jose Lito Atienza of Buhay Party List who wishes to interpolate for his interpolation.
The Honorable Atienza from Buhay Party List is hereby recognized for his interpolation.
Maraming salamat po. Ako po'y humingi ng paumanhin sa ating kongresista ng Parañaque na hindi ko agad siya nakausap through an interpellation of his privileged speech because we were distracted by some other matters. I thank him for his gracefulness to open up the topic once again, considering that he gave us a very important, knowledgeable insight on the life of our national hero. Kaya ako po isa sa mga bumabati sa kanya at sana'y madagdagan pa mga katulad ni Congressman Olivares na nakatuon ng kanyang pansin sa kabayanihan at kasaysayan ng ating mga bayaning pambansa. Let me also ask him if he is familiar that our national hero stressed on one important democratic requirement, that in a democracy, in a free people's movement, in a progressive Philippine Islands, he was quoted to have said, effective representation is the key to a successful life in the Philippines of his birth. Effective representation. Meaning, ang sabi niya, kailangan yung mga kakatawan sa ating bansa ay talagang magkaroon ng epektibong pamamaraan upang yung kanilang ipaglalaban ay tunay na pangangailangan ng bansang Pilipinas. Yung po ba'y dumaan sa inyong saliksik? That effective representation is the key to a successful life in the Philippine Islands.
I believe that that's very true, that effective representation is very important in running our government. In fact, Jose Rizal mentioned his priority is education. As he himself mentioned, there can be no tyrants where there are no slaves. So education empowers us to resist our oppressors. So it's very important that leaders of our country are well qualified for the position and well represented among our fellow Filipinos.
Napakahalaga po nun, Madam Speaker, Honorable Congressman from Parañaque, because it is very relevant today to stress the fact that effective representation of the people, especially here in Congress, is a very critical element in a successful democracy. In other words, what our national hero stressed during his lifetime and what he did for us as a nation struggling at that point in time for freedom and our liberation from the Spanish domination also is very true up to this point in time. Kailangan effective ang representasyon ng ating mga mamamayan dahil kung hindi, hihina ang tulay ng mamamayan sa ating gobyerno. He was probably thinking of the future liberated Philippines where we will be exercising legislative power, legislative functions, and he probably was even thinking of a Philippine legislature like this Congress 17th Congress where we belong. Effective representation is very, very critical. Kaya yun po'y magandang banggitin natin habang ginugunita natin ang mga kontribusyon ng ating bayaning pambansa. Na even during his time, where there was no representation at all, because the Spanish were ruling us with an iron hand, ipinaglaban niya ang effective representation ng ating mga mamamayan. Na kung wala yun, hindi tayo magtatagumpay sa ating pagpupunyagi. And of course, history is with us because now we have a representative form of government. Do you agree with that conclusion of our national heroes' forecast of the requirements of a successful liberated Philippine democracy?
I agree to the wisdom of the good gentleman.
Ito po naman ay trivia pero napakahalaga up to this point in time, especially where we are faced with very serious threats on our future as a growing nation. Yung ating populasyon ay tunay na lumalaki. Kasama yan ang ating landas tungo sa isang matagumpay na at makapangyarihang bansa. We would like to inform our colleagues that Dr. Jose Rizal came from a big family. Tama po ba yun?
That's correct.
If I'm not mistaken, he was the 7th child out of 11 children in their family. Pangpito po siya. Isipin nyo, kung yung kanyang ina ay na-influence na ng reproductive health law at siya'y naging biktima na ng birth control at gumamit na ng implanon yung kanyang ina. Malamang hindi pinanganak ang ating bayaning pambansa. Wala tayong pinag-uusapan ngayon. Tama po ba yung aking conclusion? He is the 7th child out of 11 children. If the parents of our national hero were influenced by Secretary... Ano nga ba pangalan itong ating Secretary of Health? Nakalimutan ko na eh. Obial. Kung siya'y nakausap, kung buhay na sa Secretary Obial, baka hindi na sinilang si Dr. Jose Rizal. Dahil kung masusunod si Secretary Obial, wala nang dapat ipanganak pang Pilipino pagkatapos ng dalawa. Ang gusto niya ay mabawasan ang bilang natin. Pero kung susuriin natin lahat ng pamilyang pinanggalingan ng ating mga bayani, lahat sila'y nangbula sa malaking bilang ng mga magkakapatid. At marami sa kanila hindi panganay, kundi pangatlo, pang-apat, panlima, pang-anim. Si Dr. Jose Rizal, pampito. Thank God, Secretary Obiel was not around during those years. I am afraid in the future, some of our national heroes will not even be born because of this very destructive program of population control. Marunong pa sila sa Panginoon Diyos na siya lang tanging nakakaalam. Nung sinilang si Dr. Jose Rizal, alam na ng Panginoon Diyos, binibigyan tayo ng bayaning ating titingalain. Kaya yung isinisila ngayon, ano man ang hirap ng buhay, maaaring yun na ang mamumuno sa Pilipinas pagdating ng panahon at magbibigay ng tunay na kasarinlan at kasaganahan sa ating bansa. That is one of the reasons why this representation and our party will never be acceptable to the idea that government should be intervening, contravening the plans of God for anyone. Ang trabaho ng gobyerno, bigyan ng trabaho, bigyan ng employment, bigyan tayo ng kasiguruhan sa ating kalagayan, bigyan tayo ng kapayapaan, at bigyan ng paraan upang yung galing na ibinibigay sa atin, sa ating kapanganakan, ay magamit natin pagdating ng panahon. Yan sana ay magsilbing karugtong ng inyong mensahe na huwag natin pipigilan ang plano ng Panginoon Diyos. Baka si Congressman Olivares pagdating ng araw ay tatanghaling bayani ng ating bansa sa kanyang maaari pang gawin. Ngayon ay effective representative na siya. Bukas, maaari naman siyang maging effective mayor of Parañaque. At marami pang tatahakin sa landas itong masipag nating kongresista. Maraming salamat, Mr. Congressman, for allowing the inclusion of this additional data on what you have given us this afternoon. At alam ko namang na yung ating mga kasamahan na nakinig sa atin, ay meron ding sigurong natutunan karagdagang kaalaman tungkol sa ating bayaning pambansa. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that to refer the privileged speech of the Honorable Olivares and its interpellations to the Committee on Rules. I so move, Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion to refer the privileged speech of the Honorable Olivares to the appropriate committee is hereby approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we terminate the privilege hour.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion to terminate the privilege hour is hereby approved.
Madam Speaker, I move that we call the roll of members.
The Secretary General is directed to call the roll of members.
Roll call of members, honorable representatives. Abad, Abaya, Abayon, Abilianosa, Abu, Abueg, Acharon, Akop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agaraw, Agabaw, Aglipay Villar, Albano, Alcala, Alejano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte Nagiat, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Andaya, Angara Castillo, Antonino, Antonio, Aragones, Arbizon, Arcillas, Arenas, Atienza, Aumentado, Bagaw, Bagaching, Bagilat, Banal, Barbers, Barsaga, Batawil, Batucabe, Bautista Bandigan, Belaro, Belmonte Feliciano, Belmonte Jose Christopher, Belmonte Ricardo, Benitez, Bernos, Bertiz, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bulilia, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo Anthony, Bravo Marabida, Brosas, Bulot Bigtang, Gagas, Calderon, Calixto Rubiano, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cari, Casilaw, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredinil, Catamco, Cayetano, Celeste, Serapica, Cerilles, Chavez, Chipeco, Co, Cuanco, Colliantes, Cortés, Cortuna, Cosalan, Crisólogo, Cuba, Quaresma, Cueva, Dalipe, Dalog, Dasa, De Jesus, De Venecia, De Vera, Defensor, Del Mar, De Rosario, De Loso Montalia, De Vaporo Abdullah, De Vaporo Khalid, Duavit, Durano, D. Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigel, Ermita Boain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Eusebio, Ibardone, Fariñas, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Ferriol, Floirendo, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Fentebelia, Garbin, Garcia Gwendolyn, Garcia Jose, Garcia Albano, Gary Richard, Gary Sharon, Gasataya, Gachelian, Heron, Goana Cristina, Go Mark, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Aurelio Dong, Gonzales Fernando, Goriseta, Gulias, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Halosos, Javier, Ko, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagman, Lanete, Laugan, Lasatin, Liachon, Lee, Limkaychong, Lobrigat, Lopez Benhur, Lopez Carlo, Lopez Manuel, Loyola, Macapagal-Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manalo, Mangawang, Mangudadato Suharto, Mangudadato Sajid, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matugas, Miliana, Mending, Mendoza, Mercado, Mirasol, Montoro, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Carlo, Nolasco, Núñez Maleñaon, Waminal, Ocampo, Olivares, Ong Edwin, Ong Henry, Ortega Pablo, Ortega Vini, Pacquiao, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panganiban, Panotes, Papandayan, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Primicia Sagabas, Kimbo, Radasa, Ramirez Sato, Ramos, Relampagos, Revilla, Roapuno, Robes, Rocomora, Rodriguez Isidro, Rodriguez Maximo, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Romualdo, Roque Hari, Roque Rogelio, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sahali, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Salon, Sambar, Sandoval, Santos Recto, Sarmiento Cesar, Sarmiento Edgar, Sevillano, Sema, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Swansing Estrelita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez, Si Alvarado, Tambunting, Tan Angelina, Tan Milagrosa, Tan Shirley, Tejada, Teves, Chanco, Ting, Tiño, Tolentino, Treñas, Tugna, Tupas, Turabi Nataman, Ti, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Unico, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Uy Barreta, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velarde, Velasco, Velasco Catera, Veloso, Vergara, Villapuerte, Villanueva, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Villarin, Vilago, Yap Arthur, Yap Melesio, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Mar Carmen, Zamora Ronaldo, Zarate, Subiri. Madam Speaker, the roll call shows that 192 members responded to the call.
With 192 members responding to the call, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the election of the following members to the committees that I will read hereafter. Member of the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability, C. Alvarado. Labor and Employment as Vice Chairperson, Mendoza Raymond. Housing and Urban Development as Member, Sarmiento Edgar. National Defense and Security as Vice Chairperson, Dalipe. As Member, Almario. Public Order and Safety as Member, Almario. Social Services as Members, Vargas Alfonso, Mangawang, Nolasco, and Ortega Pablo. Suffrage and Electoral Reforms as Member, Brosas. Transportation as Member, Almario. Ways and Means as Vice Chairperson, Tambunting. Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity as Member, Lobregat.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved and the members so named by the Majority Leader are elected to the respective committees. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we approve Journal number 58 dated January 17, 2017.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The Journal of January 17, 2017 is hereby approved.
Madam Speaker, I move that we adjourn session to January 23, 2017, Monday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I so move, Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The session is adjourned until January 23, 2017, Monday, 4 p.m. It's hereby approved.